All right, now this question is taken from the CSEC Mathematics June 2008. And it says, in an agricultural experiment, the gain in mass of 100 cows during a certain period were recorded in kilograms as shown in the table below. Gain in mass, and they give us the gain in mass in the grouped frequency table here. And part A, copy and complete the mid-interval value columns. All right. So you're probably saying, what do they mean by mid-interval values? Mid-interval values mean that we just need to find the middle value for the group data. All right. So in order to find mid-interval values, all right, I like to call it midpoint. I'll just call it M. Mid-interval values M. Mid-interval values, it's equal to the upper class boundary plus the lower class boundary, and then you divide it by 2. All right. So for example, the upper class boundary of 5 to 9, right? We know that that would be, for example, 9.5 plus 5.5. That would give you 14. And then you divide it by 2 and you get the 7. See, that's how they got that 7 there. All right. So all we need to do is just add the upper class and the lower class and divide it by 2. Now there's actually a hint in doing these questions as well. The hint that I want to give you is anytime that they're of the same length, the class width, if you realize that all you're doing is just adding 5 to the mid-interval. So even without using the formula, I can tell you it's 22, it's then 27, and then 32, just following the pattern. But if you didn't feel comfortable just following the pattern, then of course you'd use the formula and say 24.5 plus 19.5, sorry. Then you divide it by 2. That will give you 44 divided by 2, which is still 22. All right, so however you may feel best in doing this, it's up to you, but no problem. All right, no problem. All right, now that we've completed the table, now let's proceed to the next part of the paper. It says calculate an estimate of the mean in the mass of the 100 cows. Now an estimate of the mean. Now what we use as an estimate is bar X. Bar X is an estimate of the mean. And bar X is computed by this formula. The sum of F times X divided by N, where F is the frequency. That's why they give us the frequency. This X is just the midpoint, the mid value. So look at this now as X, sorry, look at this as X, and this is your F. All right, so what we're gonna do is just extend the line. Let me just erase this arrow right here. All right, so what we're gonna do now is just create a table of F times X right here. F times X. So we go 2 times 7, that's 14. 29 times 12, I don't know mentally, but I'm gonna take out the calculator. All right. 29 times 12, that is 348. And then we go 37 times 17. So we take out our calculator again, 37 multiplied by 17. That is going to give us 629. Then 16 times 22, take out a calculator again. That's going to give you 352. Then you multiply 14 times 27. 14 times 27. Put that in a calculator, that's 378. And then you work out 2 times 32. 2 times 32, we know that's 64. No need to put the calculator there. That's 64. All right. But remember, to find the mean, we need the sum of f of x. So the mean is going to be equal to our mean. Remember, we're calling our mean bar x. The mean is going to be, you're adding up all of these values. So it's going to be the 14 plus the 348 plus the 629 plus the 352 plus the 378 plus the 64, and all of this is divided by n. What is n? N is just the total, the sum of the frequency. And n, remember, is 100. Here it is, n is 100. So we divide all of that by 100. So now we're just going to take out our calculator once more and find the answer. So 14 plus 348 plus 629 plus 352 plus 378 plus 64, and we divide that by 100. So when we do that, what we're getting is, this simplifies to be 17.85. So bar x is 17.85. So that is an estimate of the mean. All right, so an estimate of the mean is 17.85. So we can say 17.85 is the mean. And it's really an estimate. All right. So that's the mean, 17.85.
Wow!
And remember, it's in kilograms, 17.85 kilogram. All right, 17.85 kg. Now, the next part of the question, so that got rid of part 1. Now we need to do part 2. Part 2 says, on your answer sheet, complete the drawing of the frequency polygon for the gain in the mass of the cows. So we need to draw a frequency polygon. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the graph, and then we're going to do our frequency polygon. Now remember, when you're plotting a frequency polygon, the frequency goes on the y-axis, and then the midpoint goes on the x-axis. All right? So just waiting on the graph to load right here. All right, now that we have our graph, we're just going to, of course, do our setup. All right, it didn't give, now notice it didn't tell us what to use for our axis, or did it? Hint, each of the 29 cows. Okay, all right. So it didn't give us anything really. It gave us a hint here, but this is not telling us what the axis should be. So we're just going to use an axis that's going to fit our scale. So you choose a scale that you want to use for part 2. All right. So for your frequency polygon, I'm just writing frequency polygon. For your frequency polygon, remember it's frequency on the y-axis and then the midpoint on the x-axis. So the midpoints that we have, looking at it, our midpoints are 7, 12, 17, 22, 27, 32. So maybe we can go, let me see, every centimeter representing 5 units. Maybe that's okay, 5 units for every centimeter. Yeah, let's go with 5 units for every, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. All right. We're going 5 centimeter for every 2. We're going for every 2 centimeter, 5 units. That's on our x-axis. So always remember to write your scale, because that's giving you marks. So your scale is on your x-axis. 2 centimeter represent 5 units.
Hey!
And on your y-axis, all right, let's look at what was the highest frequency. The highest frequency was 37. So we don't need to go beyond 40. So maybe we can go by fives. Let's see if fives will work. We can go by 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yes, we can go by 5. So each centimeter we're going to let represent 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. All right. So we're choosing our scale, remember. So that's a scale we're going to be using. So we tell them 1 centimeter is representing 5 units on the y-axis. All right. And finally, the last thing I like to always say is remember to label your axis. The y-axis is giving us frequency, and the frequency in this case is the amount of cows. And on the x-axis is in kilogram, the mass in kilogram. All right. So the x-axis, this is the mass in kilogram. And up here is the amount of cows. Now let's go ahead and do our frequency polygon. All right, so these are the numbers that we plot. Remember, frequency polygon, you're plotting the y-axis is the frequency versus the midpoint, x. Frequency versus the midpoint, frequency versus the midpoint. So the frequency is 2 and the midpoint is 7. So the y is 2 and the x is 7 for the first group. So we go back, y is 2, x is 7. That's somewhere right there. Y is 2, x is 7. All right, the next one now is y is 29, x is 12. Y is 29, 29, x is 12. 12 is somewhere here. 29 close to 30. All right, right there where I put that x. All right, and then we have 37 to 17, 37 on the y and 17 on the x. 37 is pretty much almost in between 35 and 40. Then we need 17. 17 is just about here. All right, that's right there. And then now we need 16 to 22. 16 to 22, 16 on the y-axis, to 22 on the x. 16 is just above 15. That's somewhere right here. And then we need 14 to 27. 14, we're going down again. 14 is just below 15 to 27, somewhere here. All right. And then we need 2 to 32. 2 is down here again to 32. All right, and that's it. Now we need to plot our frequency polygon. So all we're gonna do is draw straight lines from the origin to this point. All right, then we'll draw another straight line from here to here. Then we'll draw another straight line from here to here. Then another straight line from here to here. Another straight line from here to here. Another straight line from here to here. Another straight line going down to the end. All right. That's our frequency polygon. This is it. That's our frequency polygon. All right. This is it. And this will give you your 5 marks. I forgot to put in the marks right here. That was worth 5. So to complete the table, we get 1. And to do the frequency polygon, we get 5 marks to do this. Wow! All right. And that is 6 marks. All right, now the next, oh, here it is, the 5 marks. I told you. And the next part says now calculate the probability A cow chosen at random in the experiment gained 20 or more kilograms. So we need to find the probability a cow is going to gain 20 or more kilograms. So in order to work out the probability that a cow, I'm going to use cow as C. C, the cow, or let's just put cow. The cow mass gain is greater than or equal to 20 kilograms. It's equal to how many cows have 20 kilogram or more, 20 kilogram or more over the total number of cows. We know the total number of cows is 100. All right, we just need to look at how many cows gain more than 20 kilograms. So we're going to go back to our table right here. So looking at the table right here, look at this, 20 or more. 20 or more is all of these numbers. All of these numbers down here are more than 20, right? All of these numbers are more than 20. So you have 16 cows that gain from 20 to 24, 14 that gain from 25 to 29, and 2 cows that gain from 30 to 34. So 16 plus 14 is 30, plus 2 is 32. So that means the probability a cow gain more than 20 kilograms is 32 over 100, or you might say 0.32, or you might say 32%. Whichever way you want to write your probability is perfectly fine, all right? Whichever way you want to write your probability. All right, 0.32, 32%, whatever you want to say, that's fine, all right? So right here for part C, this is 32%, or 0.32 as a decimal.